It is time for the Ninja Banner, and as you always know, Ninja Banners tend to be pretty strong. We saw the silhouettes last night, and I'm pretty sure Zelgius was on the left. On the right is kind of a question mark. I've heard all kinds of different things from it. So let's go ahead and jump in, see what we got. Hopefully, maybe Ninja Petra. I'm just saying. There's Zelgius. We all saw that one coming, 100%. Ninja Knight. So not a surprise here. He's going to be a blue. His art's so good. Oh my gosh, his art looks amazing. Oh, he has... Okay. So after so long, we have Assault Troop 3 on another unit. Okay, we have a new PRF skill. Thank God. Okay, that's a good sign. We also have Distant DR Solo. So we finally got it's like a side grade to attack speed solo, which is cool. Though Prime does exist now, so it's kind of not as good as it could have been. Anyway, let's start at the top with this preference weapon, Scarlet Spear. Okay, so what essentially this does is this has Slaying. It is a dual phase Brave weapon. Yes, you heard that right. Dual phase Brave. Already very happy with that. And then at start of combat, if his HP is greater than or equal to 25%, he's going to get attack plus X and inflict attack minus X on the foe during combat, where X is 25% of the foe's attack at the beginning of combat. So the visible stat, right? Minus 2. And it's a minimum of 6 and a max of 16. That's right, you heard 16. That is absurd, right? That's a 27 might Brave weapon at max. Not much is going to be living that. That's really, really powerful. And you're also getting up to minus 16 attack on the foe, which can really hamper their firepower, right? You're also going to get 30% damage reduction during combat, and you're going to be able to restore 7 HP after combat. So this is already a pretty powerful weapon. I will say there could have been a little bit more here, but I think you can't really underestimate Brave, right? You can't underestimate Brave, and you can't underestimate that much might. The thing is with a lot of armors, you really need a ton of defensive effects to survive nowadays because nukes are so ridiculously strong. So when it comes to this, right, I think if Zelgius can live that first hit, he'll probably kill back whatever he's hitting, but there are like things like sweep effects or like dazzling effects which can mess him up. So that is something to consider. But let's move on to his preference skill, Lightless Luna. Treats foe's defense and res as if it was reduced by 80% when special triggers. If unit or foe special is ready or triggered before or during combat, reduces damage from foe's next attack by 40%. So essentially what this is like a black Luna combined with like an armored beacon or like armored flow, right? So this is pretty much what I wanted. I kind of wanted to push it a little bit farther, honestly. I wanted to have piercing attached to that as well, but that doesn't seem to be in the cards. The reason why I wanted that is because like Legendary Lear has that, right? She pretty much has like a special that does speed, it has piercing, and it also has DR, non-pierceable DR. So I was kind of hoping that for Zelgius as well. Either way, this is going to be really strong. This means that when you hit Zelgius, it's going to charge Lightless Luna, and it's going to be able to retaliate with that immediately, and then even another hit after that. And when you combine that with Special Fire, it means he's going to be pretty much guaranteed to get off that Lightless Luna because he's going to be able to get Special Acceleration. So even if you hit him, he'll get +1 with Guard, and then he'll attack, get 1 more, and then proc that Lightless Luna. So he's pretty good against Guard with this build, which is nice. Special Fire 4 also gives him that Guard effect, which is always good, and extra healing, and even gets around Fatal Smokes to an extent. So that's really nice combination of skills there. Distant Defense Res Solo is going to be an upgraded distant counter essentially. But it does seem like he's trending more to like a bulky save unit instead of a more fast save unit like Winter Black Knight is. So I'm pretty happy with that actually. I think I prefer that more than the other option. And then lastly, he does bring Assault Troop back into the game. It's been quite a while, over a year, since we've seen Assault Troop add to the game. And this is the next unit that finally gets it. So this is kind of an interesting combination because it seems like Zelgius does want to be an enemy phaser to an extent, right? He really kind of wants to chill, get hit, and then just blow something up. But at the same time, he has Assault Troop, so maybe he just wants to go in and kill things as well. So it's going to be interesting to see exactly how he ends up being used. When it comes to roles, obviously he wants to be a tank and a nuke. Those are his 2 main roles he's going to be doing. Typically, you're probably going to be running him with a save build, right? Where he's going to be able to get hit and then blow something up, hopefully. And then, of course, with Lightless Luna, he's going to be able to nuke really hard, right? 80% reduced defense or resistance is really strong. It's going to be able to hit really hard. And if you want to, you can go a very offensive build with Zelgius. Obviously, you could go for something like Bold Fighter in his seal slot, and then you could pretty much just run around and probably even go for like a Gale Force build as well really easily because he hits twice. The only problem you might see is that he might just one-shot opponents, which means that his Gale Force won't be procced. When it comes to game modes, I think Zelgius could definitely be used in a ton of different game modes. I can see him being used in Ether Raid's defense, Ether Raid's offense, maybe Summoner Duels. It's a bit hard to say with saves and Summoner Duels at the moment, just because saves are pretty weak, Right now, nukes are just so ridiculously strong. There's not many saves who can really survive. You're really looking at like Brave Corn with a ton of speed stacking so she doesn't get doubled, or like Brattle Tiki or something like that, right? Like even if a Mortis can struggle nowadays if you don't have like Maria with him, because nukes are just ridiculous. Now, Zelgius does have the advantage of having a ton of kill power, right? He's an absolute ridiculous amount of kill power, so you probably can kill a lot of things, but there are units like, Legendary Hinoka, who has a sweep effect, which could destroy you, and there's also just, Catria, which means that a lot of times the nukes are going to hit you twice before Zelgius even gets to really show off how powerful he can be. So that is something to consider, but overall, this is looking like a very nice, powerful ult, and I'm very happy with it. Very, very glad to see they finally upgraded his PRF skill. Okay, let's move on to the next unit. Oh, okay, wow. Maybe we're getting a Teleus banner here. Okay, I did not expect this at all. So Heather's finally in the game. I know Heather can be popular with some people, but I've never been like the biggest fan of Heather, to be honest. Oh, she just gave herself another action. That's scary. That's really, really scary. Okay, let's start at the top with Spy's Shuriken. So this has Slaying, and then as she initiates combat, she also gets a Brave effect. And then at start of combat, if her HP is greater than 25%, she's going to get +5 to all stats during combat. And then if she uses the Rally Assist skill, or an ally uses a Rally Assist skill on her, they're going to grant no follow-up to herself and that ally, and she'll also inflict exposure in cardinal directions of herself and that target as well. And then if she does use a Rally Assist, she gets another action. This is a very cool weapon. I like this a lot. This is very much in the same vein as Haether, right, who has this kind of effect. Haether does offer more power, I would say, overall, but being able to give no fault to pretty much any unit type in the game by just using a rally, and it doesn't even take up your action, is very, very cool, and you get the added power of exposure, which is something you should definitely not underestimate, especially when it comes to Brave weapons, right? Brave weapons really take advantage of that effect, so I think this is already a really cool weapon. We're going to get Rally Attack Speed, we're going to get Remote Sparrow, but then we also have Speed Defense Roost 4, which inflicts that Speed and Defense -4 on the foe during combat, and then it also does the Speed and Defense -6 in cardinal directions, Guard, Discord, and a new effect called Schism. And Schism is the answer to many of people's prayers, something I've been talking about for a very long time. I was actually just talking about this recently, where I was saying they could just put an effect like a ploy that could cancel out Triangle Attack and Dual Strike. And here it is. So this will actually turn off Bridal Catria and Winter Cordelia. Now, that's great and all, right? I've honestly been looking for a counter for Bridal Catria, but you have to remember this doesn't work on everything. There's a lot of things where this is just not going to be effective. First of all, it does require you to rally, which means that it's going to be something you have to actively do. It's not going to be an effect that just happens at the beginning of turn, and so a lot of times it's going to be difficult to land that, as it's not going to hit every single unit, right? It's only going to be units in cardinal directions. So you have to line this up first of all. Second of all, a unit like Freyr, my evil nemesis, can also just turn off this effect, right? So if you use this on your turn, at the beginning of the next turn, Freyr will just cancel out the Schism effect completely, so Bridal Catria can still do the triangle attack. So while this can act as a counter to Bridal Catria and Winter Cordelia, it isn't a hard counter by any means, and I wouldn't even say it's like the strongest counter. It's something you're really going to have to use actively and plan properly in things like Summoner Duels or even in Aether Raids, and you're probably much only going to be using this in Light or Dark Season, as Freyr can just completely shut this down. Even so, I don't want to underestimate this. It is a powerful skill when you can get to activate, right? You're getting Speed and Defense -6, which is nice. Guard, which is a lot of times very pivotal in matchups. Discord, which is a very powerful effect, gives you just a ton of stats. And then this new Schism effect too, which can turn off things like Triangle Attack, Dual Strike, and even Pathfinder, which can really shut down a lot of defenses. But once again, Freyr kind of counters this, so I don't think this is going to be as big of a meta impact as we're hoping for, and we're pretty much going to only be seeing this in Light or Dark Season. Okay, so when it comes to roles for Heather, she's pretty much going to be a nuke and a support. Those are the two roles she's playing. She's going to be able to do quite a bit of damage with that Brave weapon. And because she is infantry, she's going to have access to things like Physical No Follow-Up or even Special Spiral 4. So she's going to be able to put out a ton of damage as well. And the cool thing is she's also a dagger unit, so you can even use her with something like Disarm Trap 4 if you want to go that route. So she's going to have quite a few options of which way she can play. Even so, I think she looks like a really cool and interesting unit, and I think she could put in some right work on the right teams. Okay, let's move on to the next unit. We might actually have a full Teleus banner here. Okay, oh, I actually love her. So we have a demo in Reina. That's a cool looking bow. So we have a green bow flyer with Kumo Yumi. And what this essentially does is you get effective against flying like always, but then you can also move to a space adjacent to any ally within 2 spaces, so a nice little teleporting effect. And then also if you initiate combat, you get a Brave effect, and if the foe's HP is greater than or equal to 75%, you get +4 to all stats. this is a powerful bow, right? Like this is a very, very powerful demote bow. You get warping, right? So you don't really have to run oath anymore. You get brave effect unconditionally. It doesn't have a speed check like Summer Alencia's bow does, and you get stats. So this is a very, very, very nice demote bow. Of course, the might is quite low. It's only 7 instead of like 14 or even 9. So that's something to consider. But overall, very nice bow. And we also get some decent fodder here with catch and speed defense rain. Very cool demote. Glad to see Reina in the game. I'm sure some people will be mad just because they've been waiting for so long for her. And for her to be a demote on a seasonal banner kind of does suck. But here it is. Who is going to be our new duo ninja? It's Sanaki and Micaiah. I don't know how to respond to this. I'm going to be honest, right? I like Sanaki, but she's not like my favorite character by any means. And the fact that Micaiah has somehow snuck in and gotten another ult, like half ult even, is just crazy to me. Not in a million years, though, would I have guessed that on Sanaki. And I know a lot of people love Sanaki and been waiting for like a legendary form of her. So if you are one of those people, I'm like very happy for you. We do have a Red Tome Cavalry. Let's see what she can do. Okay, so we have Radiant Scrolls, and what this essentially does is you get enables Canto remaining. So whatever remaining movement she has left over, you'll get that much Canto. You get Slaying, you get a dual phase Brave Weapon, and then if she initiates combat, or if an ally is within 2 spaces, she'll get attack and res -6 on the foe during combat, and she'll get true damage equal to Y during combat, but it does not work with AoEs, and she also reduces damage reduction by Y times 4%. So what does Y equal, right? This is some stupid math already. Y is going to be equal to the highest total penalties amongst the target, your person you're attacking, right, and the foes within 2 spaces of them. So let's say they have -25 to all stats. You're going to multiply that by 4, and so that would give you 100% damage reduction piercing, right? You would just go straight through it. Now, typically, it's not going to be that high, but either way, you can easily get, like, 50% damage reduction piercing, or even higher with the skill, which is pretty nice. So that's a pretty powerful effect, especially on a cavalry unit who typically doesn't have the ability to get damage reduction piercing or halving. We also have a new skill in Flared Mirror. So if you initiate combat, you're going to deal 7 damage to the foe before combat, just like Flared Sparrow on Brave Golveg. But this time you're going to attack +7 and rest +10, but then you'll also put down on the Divine Flame terrain as well. So essentially this is the same thing as Flame Sparrow, but instead of getting speed, you're getting res. Seeing this already is, I mean, it's not bad because they're not adding more terrain, which is a bit scary, right? Because the terrain does override itself, but it is just giving more options. So if you're a unit who doesn't really need speed, then this is going to be a better option for you. We also have Sabotage, Attack Res 3, which is a very powerful skill, and Defense Res Play 3 already again. So that's already another way to get in the pool. So just from this banner alone, we have a ton of counters in here, right? We have Defense Res Play for the people who are trying to stack, Grand Strategy or Bonus Double or Treachery. And then we even have a way to turn off, Pathfinder, Triangle Attack, and Dual Strike as well. So this is a very anti-meta banner in a very much way, and I think this unit's gonna be pretty strong. But let's check out her duo skill first and see if it's just like the other ninja units. And yes, just as we can see right here, it is just like every other duo ninja where it's going to be grant a unit another action, which is a very powerful duo skill. Okay, so when it comes to roles, what does Sanaki want to do? She's a nuke. 100% she's a nuke. That's what she wants to do. She wants to kill things. Now, she can also act as a Gale Force unit, of course, just like, we've had Ninja Lin and Ninja Korin do that as well, where they can act as very powerful units in Ether Raids. The problem is with both those units is that they definitely struggle to kill saves because of things like Hardy Fighter or just a ton of damage reduction. Well, now Sanaki won't have that exact same problem, right? Because she's going to be able to have a way to get through damage reduction very consistently, and she really isn't reliant on speed. She's not going for quads or anything like that. She's just going for 2 really big hits, and she's able to do a ton of damage, and she even comes with Flare Sparrow, which is nice. Now, the thing is, of course, she's going to be very, very bad in Anima Season because Freyr exists. As I've been saying this entire video, Freyr will turn off essentially all those visible debuffs, which means that she really won't have any DR piercing, so you're really going to want to be using this unit in Light Season, because that's where she's going to perform best. Some other game modes she could possibly be good in is, of course, Arena. She's going to score very well there as a duo unit, and she's going to hit really hard, and having that ability to just give herself another action means that she's going to be able to engage very safely and be able to get out in the player's hands, which is always nice. And then when it comes to Summoner Duels, I'm not 100% sure how well this unit will perform there. The thing is with units like this is that Cavs have definitely started to fall off in Summoner Duels to an extent unless you play into their very high mobility, right? You're looking for units who can have ridiculous movement like when Kagura, right, who can give herself 4 movement, Brave Selef, Summer Ephraim, even Wind Dagger has been done very well because she can give out that Pathfinder effect, right? So it's possible that she just hits hard enough that people do use her on Cav favored maps in SD, but I'm not exactly sure if that will actually happen because she does have to rely on Pathfinder teams to really get around the map and be able to do a ton of damage, or Legendary Alencia, of course. Okay, let's move on to the final part of the video, should you pull. Now, when it comes to this banner, it's pretty interesting, because I think they do have some very cool units here. Zelgius is going to be a very offensive save armor, or even like you can even go full offensive with him and like go Gale Force and stuff. So I think if you're interested in that kind of play, Zelgius can be a lot of fun. And when it comes to Sanaki, I think she's going to be a very powerful nuke who can put in a lot of work. But once again, she seems like an Aether Raids oriented type of unit. I think she could be used in some of those, but I'm not 100% sure yet. This banner also introduces some pretty powerful skills which can be used on specific units, so if you're looking for some fodder, this could be a banner to pull on as well. And there is some color sharing, so if you're a fan of Heather and Reina, I guess you could always summon on green and get pretty good results there as well. Now there is a soft counter here to like, dual strike and triangle attack and even Pathfinder, which is something we've been waiting for a very long time, but I'm not completely sold on how powerful it's going to be quite yet. So you might want to wait a bit to see how good it is before you start summoning for that fodder and trying to use it in competitive game modes, as I don't think it's going to be as powerful as something like Freyr's like full counter on Elamine, or even maybe the ploy effects that we've currently had, as those don't really take an action to activate. When it comes to cons, there's quite a few. We do have a double legendary mythic banner typically in November, which means we're probably going to get Golveg and somebody else, which means it can be a very high value banner for you to pull on, so you're definitely going to want some orbs for that. And then obviously we have the new book in December, which could bring all kinds of things. We have no idea what it's going to bring. It could bring a whole new game mode, a whole new type of hero, like it could be completely insane, so you definitely want to have at least enough orbs to spark for that December banner before you pull on this. So when it comes to pulling on this banner, I think that if these are one of your favorite characters, absolutely pull. Or if you think one of these units can fulfill a role you don't currently have, then pull as well. But if you don't like enjoy any of these characters, or if you don't think you need one of these roles, then I would just probably skip this banner, or at least wait to see how good these units end up being, or how good their fodder ends up being. But now I'd love to hear from you. What do you think of this banner? Are you excited to see Ninja Zelgius and Ninja Sanaki? Or maybe you've been waiting for Reina and Heather for a very long time. Either way, I'd love to hear about, so make sure to drop a comment down below. And as always, I'd like to thank all my members for their constant support. If you enjoyed the video, like and subscribe. This has been Oblivion. I'll catch you all later.